The red Kachina returns, Hopi prophecy and Comet 3. Atlas, today's prayer for strength. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth, befalls the children of the earth. Chief Seattle. In the sacred stories of the Hopi people, there is a prophecy, ancient, precise, and quietly urgent, that speaks of a time when the world would be out of balance and a great cleansing would begin. You will hear of the return of the blue star, and soon after, the red Kachina will dance in the plaza, removing his mask. That time, they say, is now. And above us, in the cold silence of the cosmos, a new traveler has arrived. Comet C divided by 2023 Pone, also known as Comet Nishimura, or by some, Comet 3I divided by Atlas. A stranger from the outer reaches of the solar system, streaking into our skies like a celestial drumbeat, a sign, perhaps, from the very rhythm of the universe itself. It's easy to see just a comet, a chunk of ice and rock illuminated by sunlight. But to the wisdom keepers of old, the Hopi, the Navajo, the Buddhists of the Himalayas, such visitors are more than just physical bodies. They are messengers, reminders, mirrors. So what is this red Kachina? Is it a literal figure, a spirit, or a metaphor for the spiritual cleansing our world so desperately needs? In a time of wildfires, floods, division, and despair, maybe this isn't just mythology. Maybe it's a call, a gentle yet powerful invitation to return to what matters, to reconnect with the earth, with each other, and with the truth inside our own hearts. This is not about fear. This is about awakening. So today, on the journey of wisdom, we offer a prayer not for escape, but for strength. The kind of strength that allows us to face this moment with compassion, with clarity, and with the quiet courage to change. Because maybe the red Kachina is not just dancing in the sky. Maybe he's dancing within each of us. The celestial visitor, getting to know Comet, Tsuchinshan-ATLAS. Before we dive deeper into the ancient prophecies, let's take a moment to get to know our celestial visitor on its own terms. Let's ground ourselves in the science, because the truth of what this object is and where it comes from is just as awe-inspiring as any myth. Its official name is quite a mouthful, C divided by 2023, a 3, Tsuchinshan-ATLAS. It sounds complex, but it's really just a cosmic address. The C tells us it's a long-period comet, meaning it will not be back for a very, very long time. The 2023 A3 is like a birth certificate, telling us it was the third such object discovered in the first half of January 2023. And the names Tsuchinshan and Atlas, those are its discoverers. This comet was found almost simultaneously by two different sets of eyes on opposite sides of the world. First, at the Tsuchinshan Observatory, also known as the Purple Mountain Observatory, in China, and then by a sophisticated robotic survey system called ATLAS, which stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System in South Africa. It's a beautiful testament to our modern age that a single, silent traveler in the dark can be welcomed to our skies by a global family of astronomers. Now, one of the most important things to understand about this comet is where it comes from. You may have heard whispers online calling it an interstellar object, a visitor from another star system. While we have had such visitors like the mysterious Oumuamua a few years back, this comet is not one of them. Instead, its home is a place of profound mystery and distance, a place we've never seen but know exists. It's called the Oort cloud. Picture our solar system, the sun, the planets, the asteroid belt as a small, cozy neighborhood. The Oort cloud is the vast, distant countryside that surrounds it. It's a gigantic, spherical shell of trillions of icy bodies lurking in the deep freeze of space, almost a light year away from the Sunday. It is the absolute edge of our solar system, the boundary where the sun's gravitational pull finally gives way to the pull of other stars. These icy bodies are the leftover building materials from when the planets were formed 4.5 billion years ago. They are pristine time capsules. For eons, our comet was just one of those trillions of frozen worlds tumbling slowly in the dark. But then, something happened. Perhaps the gravitational nudge of a passing star, a cosmic whisper from a galactic neighbor, was just enough to disturb its ancient slumber. It was knocked off its stable path and began a long, slow fall inward toward the light and warmth of our Sunday. And what a fall it has been. The journey from the Oort cloud to the inner solar system is not a quick one. It has taken this comet somewhere in the neighborhood of 80,000 years to get here. Think about that for a moment. The last time comet Tsuchinshan-ATLAS passed this way, humanity was still living in the Ice Age. Our ancestors were hunting woolly mammoths and painting stories on cave walls. The world was a fundamentally different place. Civilizations had not yet risen. The great spiritual traditions had not yet been born. All of human history as we know it, from the first farmer to the first astronaut, has taken place in the span of a single one of this comet's years. It carries with it a sense of time that is almost impossible for our minds to grasp. It is a member of our solar family, yes, but a very, very old and distant relative, returning home after a long sojourn in the wild. As we've been watching it through 2024 and now into 2025, we've seen it transform. As it gets closer to the sun, the ice on its surface turns directly into gas, creating a glowing cloud around its core called a coma. The solar wind then pushes this gas and dust away, forming its magnificent tail, which can stretch for millions of miles across space. For those of us in the northern hemisphere, the best time to see it was in the pre-dawn sky of late September and early October of 2024, and for our friends in the southern hemisphere, it put on its best show shortly after. It has been a humbling sight, a faint, ethereal brushstroke against the canvas of the cosmos. And what about its color? This is a question that has sparked much debate. The color of a comet is notoriously difficult to predict. It depends on the exact chemical makeup of its dust and gas and how those particles scatter sunlight. Some astronomers did speculate that, based on the composition of other long-period comets, the interaction of sunlight with the dust in its coma could produce a soft, yellowish, or perhaps even a reddish glow. But the universe is always full of surprises, and its true color is a mystery. It reveals only to those who take the time to look. So this is our visitor, not an alien invader, not a harbinger of doom sent by an angry god. It is a relic from the birth of our own solar system, a messenger from the deep past, following the elegant and unwavering laws of gravity. Knowing this, knowing the science, doesn't diminish its magic. For me, it deepens it. It connects us to a story far grander and more ancient than we could ever imagine. And it sets the stage perfectly for us to now turn our ears to another ancient story, one not written in the laws of physics, but in the heart of a people who have been watching the skies from this land for centuries. The ancient voice, the Hopi prophecy of the great purification. Now that we've acquainted ourselves with our cosmic visitor through the lens of science, I invite you to take a step with me into a different way of knowing. To understand the heart of this story, we must gently set aside our modern worldview for a moment, with its satellites and spectrometers, and step into the worldview of the Hopi people. They are one of the oldest continuous cultures in North America, guardians of a tradition that has been passed down, mouth to ear, heart to heart, for thousands of years on the high mesas of Arizona. For the Hopi, time isn't a straight line moving from past to future. It's a series of cycles, like the turning of the seasons. They believe that we are currently living in the fourth world, which they call Tuwakachi, or world complete. But before this world, there were three others. Each of these previous worlds, These great cycles of existence came to an end not because of some random catastrophe, but because humanity, over time, lost its way. We fell out of balance. We forgot our sacred duty to live in harmony with each other and with the earth, our mother. We forgot the laws of the Great Spirit, the Creator. The first world was destroyed by fire, the second by ice, the third by water. Each time, a small number of faithful people were saved to begin the next cycle, carrying with them the wisdom learned from the previous world's mistakes. And the Hopi elders have always taught that this fourth world, our world, will also come to an end. Not necessarily in a great physical destruction, but in a great transition. And this transition, they say, will be announced by signs in the heavens. 2 signs, specifically. 2 great spirit beings, known as Kachinas, who will act as cosmic messengers. The first messenger is the blue star Kachina. The prophecy says that when this Kachina makes its appearance, the people of Earth will know that the time of transition is near. Its arrival is not the purification itself, but the final warning. It's a celestial alarm bell, a merciful opportunity for humanity to wake up, to look at the path we are on, and to turn back to a life of balance before it's too late. Many have tried to identify this blue star Kachina over the years. Some have pointed to comets like Hale-Bopp, others to distant supernovas, others still to the very color of our modern technology. But the prophecy is clear. It is the first sign, the herald of what is to come. Then, after the warning of the blue star, comes the second messenger. This is the red Kachina, also known as the purifier. The elders say the red Kachina will come and take off his mask in the village plaza, where everyone can see him. This phrase, to take off his mask in the plaza, is incredibly important. It means the purifier will reveal its true nature, openly, dramatically, in a way that no one on earth can ignore. The time for whispers and subtle signs will be over. The truth will stand revealed, naked and undeniable in the center of the world stage. And when that happens, the great purification begins. Now, it's crucial that we understand what the Hopi mean by purification. Our modern minds immediately jump to images of destruction, of apocalypse, but that's not the heart of it. The word itself offers a clue. To purify is to cleanse, to remove what is impure, to leave only what is essential and true. The Hopi speak of the earth shaking, yes, but they also speak of the shaking of the human heart. They speak of a time when everything that is built on a lie will crumble. The systems built on greed, the relationships built on deceit, the beliefs built on arrogance, all of it will be shaken to its foundation. The purification is a great sorting process, a spiritual crucible. It's a time when the earth itself, tired of the imbalance, begins to cleanse itself. But it is also a time when each individual is faced with a profound choice: to cling to the old false ways of the collapsing world, or to let them go and align oneself with truth, humility, and a respect for all life. The prophecy says that during this time there will be great confusion and turmoil. But it is not a promise of damnation, it is a promise of renewal. It's the necessary, painful fire that burns away the dead wood to allow new green shoots to grow. It is the challenging test that will determine who has the spiritual balance and integrity to walk into the next world, the fifth world, which is said to be a world of peace, harmony, and enlightenment. So, when the Hopi look to the sky, they are not looking for a destroyer. They are looking for a teacher, a stern and powerful teacher, to be sure, but a teacher nonetheless. The red Kachina doesn't come to punish us. It comes to show us the consequences of our own choices. It comes to hold up a great, fiery mirror, forcing us, finally, to see ourselves as we truly are. And in that reflection lies the ultimate test of our time. The cosmic resonance, a sign, not a cause. So, here we stand, at the intersection of two powerful stories. In one hand, we hold the scientific story of Comet Tsuchinshan-ATLAS, a magnificent, predictable journey governed by the laws of physics. In the other, we hold the sacred story of the Hopi prophecy, a timeless warning about spiritual balance and cosmic signs. The modern mind, trained in logic and reason, wants to force a decision. It wants to ask, is the comet literally the red Kachina? Yes or no? But perhaps that's the wrong question. Perhaps it's a question born from our need for certainty in a world that is anything but. The more profound question, the one we can all explore together, is this: why has such a powerful and ancient symbol appeared in our skies at this specific moment in human history? This is where we move beyond simple cause and effect and into a more subtle, more beautiful way of seeing the world. The great psychologist Carl Jung had a name for moments like this. He called them synchronicity. Synchronicity is not about one thing causing another. A comet doesn't cause an earthquake. A prophecy doesn't cause a societal shift. Instead, synchronicity is about meaningful coincidence. It's the idea that the universe sometimes rhymes. It's when an event in the outer world, like the appearance of a comet, perfectly mirrors a need or a question arising from our inner world, from our collective psyche. It's not a physical connection, but a spiritual resonance, a pattern, a moment when the fabric of reality seems to hum with a hidden meaning, connecting our personal stories to the grand story of the cosmos. Seen through this lens, the comet ceases to be a simple object. It becomes a symbol. Let's imagine the comet not as a rock bringing destruction, but as a giant cosmic mirror, a mirror that has traveled 80,000 years through the dark just to arrive and hang in our sky for a season. This mirror doesn't judge us, it doesn't decide our fate, it simply reflects. And what does it reflect back at us here in 2025? It reflects a world of breathtaking technological achievement, where we can talk to someone on the other side of the planet in an instant. But it also reflects a world of profound division, where we struggle to listen to our own neighbors. It reflects a civilization that has unlocked the secrets of the atom and mapped the human genome. But it also reflects a civilization that often seems to have forgotten the simple wisdom of living in harmony with the air, the water, and the soil that give us life. It reflects a humanity that is more interconnected than ever before, yet reports feeling more lonely and anxious than at any other time in history. A brilliant, powerful, and deeply fragile civilization. This act of looking up at the sky and seeing our own condition reflected back at us is nothing new. It's a deeply human instinct. Throughout history, comets have always served as these cosmic mirrors. Think of the famous Bayeux Tapestry, which chronicles the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Woven into its threads is a depiction of Halley's comet, blazing in the sky above the English court. To the people of that time, it wasn't just a celestial event. It was an omen, a sign of the great upheaval that was about to unfold. It was the universe reflecting the anxiety and uncertainty of the age. Or consider the Great Comet of 1811. It was one of the brightest ever recorded, visible to the naked eye for nearly 9 months. Across the world, it was seen as a profound sign. In the United States, it was linked to the powerful New Madrid earthquakes that followed. In Europe, it was called Napoleon's Comet, seen as a harbinger of his fateful invasion of Russia. Did the comet cause these events? Number. But it served as a powerful unifying symbol for the immense changes and anxieties that were already stirring in the heart of humanity. In every age, these celestial visitors have invited us to pause, to look up from our daily lives, and to ask ourselves, what does this mean for us right now? So, Comet Tsuchinshan-ATLAS takes its place in this long, historic procession. It is our generation's turn to look up. It is our turn to see our own hopes and fears painted across the night sky. The comet is not the cause of our problems, nor is it the solution. It is simply the sign, It is the occasion. It is the grand, silent invitation from the universe to stop, to reflect, and to consider the world we have made and the world we still have the power to create. So, here we are. We've journeyed together through the whispers of Nostradamus. We've marveled at the scientific beauty of Comet Tsuchinshan-ATLAS, and we've listened to the deep, resonant wisdom echoing from the Hopi prophecy. As you can see, this story doesn't end with a neat and tidy final answer. It doesn't point to a single truth and say, "This is it." Instead, it does something far more important. It leaves each of us with a profound and personal question. It opens a space for wonder. And in that spirit, we believe that wisdom isn't found in the voice of one person, but in the shared experience of a community. It's found in the conversation that happens after the story is told. So, we sincerely invite you to share your own reflections in the comments below. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about sharing a piece of your own journey. In this unique moment of our history, where are you finding meaning? What signs, whether they are as grand as a comet in the sky or as small as a chance encounter in your day, have made you pause and reflect? Your story, your perspective, is a valuable part of this larger conversation, and we would be honored to hear it. Thank you for walking with us this far. And now, having spent this time looking outward toward the heavens for signs and symbols, we are going to embark on a journey that is just as vital, if not more so. In the second part of our time together, we will turn our gaze inward. We will explore how to find stability when the world feels unstable, how to find peace when the world is filled with noise, and how to cultivate an unshakable inner strength, regardless of what events unfold in the world around us. We'll do this through what we're calling today's prayer for strength. I hope you'll join us for it. Today's prayer for strength. In the first part of our journey, we stood together and looked up at the vast outer sky. We tracked the incredible voyage of a cosmic visitor and listened for the echoes of ancient prophecies in the winds of time. But the greatest signs, the most powerful prophecies, only fulfill their true purpose when they turn our gaze inward. They are not meant to simply be observed. They are meant to illuminate the world within us. Because for every star-filled sky above, there is a corresponding inner sky right here, inside each and every one of us. An inner landscape of thoughts, feelings, hopes, and fears that is just as vast and mysterious as the cosmos itself. And so now, we begin the most important part of our journey, the exploration of that inner sky. Many of us, especially in times of uncertainty, search for a daily prayer for protection. It's a natural human instinct. We want to feel safe. We want to be shielded from the storms of life, from hardship, loss, and fear. We pray for a protective barrier to be placed around ourselves and our loved ones. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that heartfelt desire. But the great wisdom traditions of our world, from the Stoic philosophers of ancient Rome to the Zen masters of the East, all point us toward a deeper, more resilient kind of safety. They teach us a profound truth. Real, lasting protection does not come from building a wall to keep the storms out. The storms will always come. That is the nature of life. Real protection comes from learning how to build a ship that is strong enough to navigate any storm. It comes from developing a core of inner strength, a spiritual ballast that keeps us steady and on course even when the winds are howling and the waves are crashing over the deck. The prayer we explore today is not a prayer to make life easy. It is not a request for the ocean to become calm. It is a prayer for the strength, the wisdom, and the skill to become a worthy captain of our own vessel. It is a prayer for the power to live a full, meaningful, and courageous life, not in the absence of challenges, but right in the very heart of them. That is the truest form of protection there, Island. It's a strength that no one can ever take away from you because it is built from the inside out. So, in this second half of our time together, we will explore how to cultivate that strength. We're going to walk through 3 fundamental pillars of that inner, unshakable resilience. Think of them as the strong timbers from which we build our ship. The first pillar is clarity to see. The second pillar is courage to act. And the third and final pillar is compassion to connect. Together, these 3 pillars form the foundation of a life lived with grace and power. They are the tools for the great purification that truly matters, the purification of our own hearts and minds. So let's begin. Let's lay the first timber of our ship and explore the first pillar, the prayer for clarity. The first pillar, clarity to see, the prayer for a quiet mind. So let us begin with the first pillar, the foundation upon which all other strength is built, clarity to see. This is the prayer for a quiet mind. Before we can act with courage or connect with compassion, we must first learn to see clearly. And that is perhaps the greatest challenge of our modern age, because the world we live in today relentlessly attacks our clarity. It bombards us with a constant storm of information, a non-stop deluge of opinions, headlines, and notifications. Fear, outrage, anxiety, distraction, these are no longer just fleeting emotions. They are products, packaged and delivered to us through our screens every minute of every day. The chaos we feel isn't just happening out there in the world, it's happening in here, between our own ears. In this light, perhaps the great purification that the Hopi spoke of isn't about earthquakes or volcanoes at all. Perhaps the most profound purification we are being called to is the cleansing of our own minds from this toxic, relentless noise. This is where our prayer begins, and the first prayer for strength, the prayer for clarity, is a prayer for stillness. It might be the simplest prayer in the world. It doesn't even require words. It is the sacred act of choosing to be still, even for just a few minutes. It can be a prayer of 5 minutes every morning before the world rushes in. Just 5 minutes to sit quietly, to close your eyes, and to simply breathe. In this quiet space, we practice the art of observation. We begin to watch the activity of our own minds. We see the worries, the plans, the memories, the judgments as they arise. And here is the key. We learn to watch them without getting swept away by them. Imagine you are sitting on a peaceful hillside, looking up at the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. Some are dark and stormy, some are light and wispy, some are just plain gray. They drift into view, they hang there for a moment, and then they drift away. You don't have to climb onto the clouds, you don't have to fight them or try to push them away. You simply notice them. Ah, there is a worry cloud, there is a memory cloud, there is a planning cloud. This practice, this gentle observation, is incredibly powerful. It begins to create a little bit of space between you, the observer, the one who is aware, and the thoughts themselves. We start to realize that we are not our thoughts. We are the sky through which the clouds pass. Our thoughts can be stormy, but the sky, our core awareness, remains peaceful, vast, and untouched. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus gave us the perfect words for this wisdom over 2,000 years ago. He said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views which we take of them." Let that sink in for a moment. It's not the event itself, the news headline, the difficult conversation, the unexpected bill that causes our suffering. It is our immediate, unexamined reaction to the event. It is the story we instantly tell ourselves about what it means. Clarity is the ability to find that tiny, sacred space that exists between the event and our reaction to it. In that space, we find our freedom. In that space, we have a choice. We can choose to be swept away by the storm of emotion, or we can choose to return to the quiet anchor of our breath. We can choose to believe every fearful thought that enters our mind, or we can choose to see it as just another cloud passing through the sky of our awareness. This is not about becoming unfeeling or detached. It's about becoming centered. It's about finding the quiet eye of the hurricane, that point of stillness that exists right in the middle of the chaos. From that centered place, we can face anything. So, let's try it. Just for a moment. Right now, wherever you are, I invite you to join me in this simple practice. You don't have to close your eyes unless you want to. Just bring your attention to your breath. Let's take one slow, deep breath in together and let it go. Now, just for a moment, feel the ground beneath you. Feel the chair supporting you. Notice the simple, solid reality of your body sitting here in this moment. Let's take one more breath. A slow, deep breath in, filling your lungs, and a long, slow breath out, releasing any tension you might be holding. Just notice, you are here. In this moment, you are okay. The clouds of thought may still be swirling, the world may still be buzzing. But right here, right now, in the simple act of breathing and feeling the ground beneath you, there is a quiet strength. There is a sanctuary. This is the prayer for a quiet mind. It is the first pillar of our strength. It's the rudder of our ship. And by returning to it, again and again, we learn to navigate the waters of our lives not from a place of fear and reaction, but from a place of profound and unshakable clarity. The second pillar, courage to act, the prayer for a strong heart. Once we have found our rudder in the quiet clarity of our minds, it is time to raise the sails. This brings us to our second pillar of strength, courage to act. This is the prayer for a strong heart. Clarity without action can become passive. We can become so good at observing the world that we forget we are also here to participate in it, to shape it. And this is where many of us get stuck. We look at the enormous challenges facing our world, the division, the environmental crises, the economic uncertainty, and we feel overwhelmed. We feel small. And that feeling of powerlessness is a kind of spiritual paralysis. It freezes our will and causes us to retreat, to pull back into our own small worlds, hoping the storm will pass us by. But the Hopi prophecy, and indeed every great spiritual tradition, is not just a warning, it is a call to action. It's a call to become active participants in the restoration of balance. It's a call to do our part, however small it may seem. This is where the prayer for courage comes in, and we must be very clear about what we are praying for. The prayer for a strong heart is not a prayer for fear to disappear. Fear is a natural human emotion. It is part of our wiring. To be fearless is often to be reckless. No, the prayer for courage is an affirmation. It is the quiet, firm statement we make to ourselves. Even though I am afraid, I will still choose to do the right thing. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. It's feeling the tremor in your hands and still extending one of them in kindness. It's feeling the lump in your throat and still speaking your truth with respect. And here is the most liberating secret about courage. It is not reserved for grand heroic moments on a battlefield or a world stage. True, lasting courage is built in the small choices we make every single day. It's the courage to choose kindness when you feel like reacting with anger. It's the courage to put down your phone and give your full, undivided attention to a loved one. It's the courage to truly listen to someone you disagree with, not to win an argument, but to understand their humanity. It's the courage to admit when you are wrong. It's the courage to plant a tree, to pick up a piece of trash, to say thank you and mean it. These actions seem small. They don't make headlines, but they are the very substance of a strong heart. They are the daily practice that transforms us. Let me tell you a simple story. There was a woman who lived in a dense urban neighborhood, a place of concrete and asphalt. She was deeply troubled by the lack of green space, by the disconnect between the children and the natural world. She felt overwhelmed by the scale of the problem. What could one person possibly do? Instead of despairing, she started small. She got permission to take over a tiny, neglected, trash-filled vacant lot on her corner. It was an eyesore. At first, she just went out and picked up the garbage. Then, she started turning the soil. Her neighbors watched, curious. Soon, an elderly man from next door came out and offered her some tomato seedlings he'd grown on his windowsill. A young family offered to help her on weekends. Slowly, painstakingly, that little patch of forgotten land was transformed. It became a vibrant community garden. Children who had never seen a carrot grow from the ground now had their hands in the soil. Neighbors who had only ever nodded to each other in passing were now sharing stories, advice, and the food they grew together. That one small act of courage, born from a feeling of helplessness, didn't just create a garden. It wove a community back together. It restored a tiny pocket of balance to the world. She didn't wait for the world to change. She began to change the small world within her reach. This is how the fifth world, that time of balance the Hopi speak of, is truly built. It won't arrive in a single, dramatic event from the sky. It will rise up from the ground, quietly and powerfully, through billions of small, courageous acts of restoration, of kindness, of connection. It is built by every one of us who refuses to give in to paralysis and instead chooses to be a force for good in our own small corner of the universe. The great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once posed what he called life's most persistent and urgent question. He asked, "What are you doing for others?" This is the question that gives our courage its purpose. Our strength is not just for us. It is meant to be shared. It finds its highest expression in service. When we act with a strong heart, we become a beacon for others. Our small choice to be kind can ripple outward in ways we will never fully know. Our decision to restore a small piece of the world inspires others to do the same. So the prayer for a strong heart is a prayer of action. It's a commitment to be the person who shows up, to be the one who listens, to be the one who helps, to be the one who, despite the noise and the fear, chooses, again and again, to add a little more light to the world. And in that choice, we find a strength we never knew we had. The third pillar, compassion to connect, the prayer for an open spirit. We have laid the foundation with clarity, learning to quiet the mind. We have raised the sails with courage, learning to strengthen the heart. And now, we come to the final and most vital part of our ship. It is the North Star by which we navigate, the purpose that gives the entire journey its meaning. This is our third pillar, compassion to connect. This is the prayer for an open spirit. A mind that is clear but disconnected can become cold and distant. A heart that is courageous but disconnected can become reckless and self-serving. It is compassion, the profound act of connection, that weaves everything together into a resilient and meaningful whole. The Hopi prophecy speaks of a world out of balance, of humanity's broken relationship with the earth. But if we look closely, that brokenness with nature is just a symptom of a deeper, more painful separation. We have become disconnected from each other. In our modern world, we have become experts at building walls. We draw sharp lines between us and them. My political party, their political party. My country, their country. My belief system, their belief system. We sort ourselves into smaller and smaller tribes, hiding behind our screens, reinforcing our own opinions, and slowly forgetting a fundamental truth, that we are all passengers on the same small, fragile, beautiful spaceship called Earth. We forget that the person on the other side of the screen, the one we disagree with so vehemently, is just like us, a human being trying to navigate the confusion and beauty of life, doing the best they can with what they know. This disconnection is the deepest wound of our time, and the most powerful medicine, the only medicine that can truly heal it, is compassion. The prayer for an open spirit, the prayer for compassion, is the most challenging and the most rewarding of all. It is the prayer to see beyond the surface, beyond the labels and the angry words. It is the prayer for the ability to see a reflection of ourselves in the eyes of everyone we meet, especially those we find most difficult. It's a quiet request we make in the privacy of our own hearts. Grant me the grace to see the pain behind another's anger. Grant me the wisdom to see the fear behind another's arrogance. Grant me the strength to meet division with a bridge, not a sword. Compassion is not about agreement. You don't have to agree with someone's opinions or condone their actions to feel compassion for them. It is simply the recognition of shared humanity. It's the understanding that, beneath all the layers of belief and experience that make us different, we are all fundamentally the same. We all know what it feels like to be afraid. We all know grief. We all know joy. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel safe. When we can connect with another person on that level, the walls begin to dissolve. The anger inside us softens. We stop seeing an enemy and start seeing a fellow traveler struggling just as we are. This, right here, is the very essence of surviving the great purification the Hopi elders spoke of. When the world is shaking and old structures are crumbling, what will remain? What will be the foundation of the new world? It won't be the strongest armies or the biggest bank accounts. It will be the strength of our human connections. The ones who will endure, the ones who will become the seeds of the fifth world, won't be the most powerful or even the most intelligent individuals. They will be the ones who have mastered the art of cooperation, the ones who know how to care for one another, the ones who know how to listen, the ones whose hearts have remained open in a time when it is so easy to shut down, the ones who have remembered their sacred duty to care for each other and for the Earth Mother who sustains them all. This is the ultimate strength. It is a power that doesn't come from force, but from connection. It's a resilience that is woven from the threads of empathy and mutual respect. The great Sufi poet Rumi gave us the most beautiful guidance for this path. He wrote, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. The love, the compassion, the connection is already there. It is our natural state. Our work is not to create it, but to gently dismantle the walls of fear, judgment, and resentment that we have built in our own hearts. Each time we choose to listen instead of judge, each time we offer a hand instead of a fist, each time we choose to see the human being instead of the label, we are taking down one more stone from that wall. We are letting the light in. We are doing the sacred work of healing ourselves, and in doing so, we are doing our part to heal the world. This is the prayer for an open spirit. It is the North Star that keeps our ship on course. It is the final, essential piece of our strength, turning our clarity and our courage into a force for profound and lasting good. The prayer for strength, a complete meditation. And now, having explored each pillar on its own, let us bring them all together. I invite you to find a comfortable position. Let your shoulders relax, and if you feel safe and comfortable doing so, gently close your eyes. We will offer this prayer together, not with the spoken word, but in the quiet sanctuary of the heart. Let us begin. Amidst a world of motion and noise, may I find stillness. Grant me the grace to watch my thoughts as passing clouds, without judgment, without attachment. Grant me the wisdom to discern what is mine to control and what is mine to release. May my mind become a calm lake, reflecting the true sky, clear and peaceful. When fear visits my heart, may I find the strength not to turn away. Grant me the courage not to be fearless, but to act even while I am afraid. Guide my hands to perform small acts of kindness. Guide my voice to speak truth with humility. And guide my heart to choose what is right over what is easy. May I become a small but steady flame, warming one corner of the world. And above all, help me to dissolve the walls I have built within my own soul, Grant me the ability to see myself in the eyes of another, to see the pain behind their anger, to see the longing for connection behind their loneliness. May my spirit open, allowing compassion to flow through me like a river, healing me and healing all whom I meet. May I remember that we are all one. May I walk through this day with a clear mind, a strong heart, and an open spirit. May I be the peace I am searching for. Amen. If you've watched this far, you're already tuning in to the deeper meaning behind ancient prophecy and the signs unfolding in our time. Comment below with "Sacred Journey" to affirm your connection to this message. Don't go anywhere, there's still more to reflect on. Stay until the end for today's prayer and a deeper understanding of the Red Kachina's return. A practical guide for our time. In the last part of our journey, we built an inner sanctuary together. We learned how to find clarity amidst the noise, how to kindle the flame of courage in our hearts, and how to open our spirits with compassion. But a sanctuary is not a fortress for hiding. It is a temple, a place we return to recharge and remember who we are, so that we can step back into the world with renewed purpose. So, how do we do that? How do we carry that inner peace out into a world that seems to have none? How can our individual courage begin to mend the divisions in our communities? And how can our personal compassion actually help to heal the earth? In this final part of our journey, we will explore the concrete, practical answers to those questions. We will turn our 3 inner pillars into 3 paths of outer action. We'll discover how to practice clarity in our daily lives, how to practice courage in our relationships, and how to practice compassion as caretakers for our planet and for the generations who will follow us. The lesson is complete. Now, the real work begins. The practice of clarity. Let's begin with the first practice, taking the inner pillar of clarity and bringing it into our everyday world. How do we protect that quiet mind we cultivated in our prayer when the world around us is so loud? The truth is, our clarity is under assault every single day, primarily from our information diet. Think about it this way. We all understand that if we constantly eat junk food, food that is processed, full of sugar, and lacking in nutrients, our physical bodies will suffer. We'll feel sluggish, unwell, and out of balance. Our minds work in exactly the same way. If we constantly consume junk information, information that is designed to make us angry, fearful, and divided, our minds will suffer. We can't possibly maintain a sense of inner peace if we are binge-watching chaos. We can't feel connected to our neighbors if our information diet is constantly telling us they are our enemies. So the first, most practical step in living a life of clarity is to become a conscious consumer of information. It means becoming the guardian, the gatekeeper of your own mind. This isn't about hiding from the world or ignoring difficult truths. It's about shifting from being a passive recipient of whatever the algorithm feeds you to being an active, intentional seeker of what truly nourishes your spirit. What does this look like in practice? It can be wonderfully simple. First, consider turning off the news alerts on your phone. Those constant pings and buzzes are designed to create a state of perpetual, low-grade anxiety. They shatter our focus and keep our nervous systems on high alert. You can still be informed without being constantly interrupted. Second, try creating a specific, limited time for catching up on the news. Maybe it's 15 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes in the evening. By containing it, you prevent the anxiety of the world's problems from bleeding into every single moment of your day. You take back control of your time and your attention. And third, consciously curate your social media feeds. This is your digital home. You have the right to decide who and what you invite in. Take a moment to scroll through your feed and ask a simple question for each account you follow. Does this make me feel more peaceful, more connected, and more hopeful? Or does it leave me feeling more angry, more anxious, and more divided? Unfollow the accounts that consistently drain your spirit. It's not censorship, it's self-care. And then actively seek out and follow the accounts that uplift you, the poets, the artists, the nature photographers, the wisdom keepers, the community builders. Intentionally feed your mind with things that remind you of the beauty, goodness, and resilience in the world. This conscious curation of our information diet is the first step. The second is to build a home for our clarity to live in, and that home is built with our daily rituals. A ritual is simply an ordinary action that we perform with sacred attention. It doesn't have to be elaborate. In fact, the simpler, the better. The purpose of a ritual is to create a small, sacred space in your day, an anchor of peace that you can return to, no matter how turbulent the day becomes. Your ritual might be the first 10 minutes of the morning. Before you pick up your phone, before you turn on the television, you simply sit with a warm cup of coffee or tea. You look out the window. You watch the sky change color. You listen to the birds. You do nothing. And in that doing of nothing, you give your soul a moment to arrive, to greet the day with peace instead of panic. Your ritual might be a short walk after dinner, a simple 10-minute stroll around your block without your phone. Just walking, breathing, and noticing the world around you, the way the evening light hits the leaves of a tree, the sound of children playing in a nearby yard, the feeling of the cool air on your skin. It's a way of cleansing the mental palate after a long day, of reconnecting with the simple, grounding reality of the physical world. These small, repeated actions are incredibly powerful. They are the stitches that mend the frayed edges of our attention. They are the quiet moments where we remember who we are, apart from our jobs, our roles, and our worries. They build a foundation of inner stillness, one quiet moment at a time. By becoming the gatekeeper of what you consume, and by building a home for your peace through simple rituals, you are not retreating from the world. You are building the resilience needed to engage with it in a healthier, wiser, and more effective way. You are practicing clarity, the practice of courage. Once we've practiced creating a sanctuary of clarity for our minds, we can then turn to the work of the heart. This is the practice of courage. And the most courageous act we can perform in today's world is to mend the tears in our social fabric, one conversation at a time. Let's be honest with ourselves. Our social fabric is fraying. We see it everywhere. Families are strained, old friendships have been broken, and communities are divided over politics, beliefs, and ideologies. We have become so entrenched in our own viewpoints that we've forgotten how to simply talk to one another. We talk at each other, we talk past each other, but we rarely listen to each other anymore. This is where the practice of a strong heart comes in, because in our modern world, true courage isn't found in winning an argument, it's found in being brave enough to truly listen. I want to invite you to try an experiment the next time you find yourself in a difficult conversation with someone you disagree with. A family member, a friend, a co-worker. For just this one time, set aside your need to be right. Let go of the urge to interrupt, to correct, to debate. Instead, enter the conversation with only one goal, not to win, but to understand. Listen with the sole purpose of discovering why this person feels the way they do. What life experiences have shaped their view? What are their hopes? What are their fears? You can guide the conversation with simple, genuine questions. Questions like, "Tell me more about that," or "Help me understand what led you to that belief," or "What has that experience been like for you?" This is not a trick. It's not a debate tactic. It is the most courageous act in our divided world, choosing connection over correctness. It's a way of saying with your attention, "Your humanity is more important to me than your opinion." When you offer someone the profound gift of being truly heard, without judgment, a small miracle happens. The tension eases, the walls come down, and in that shared space of listening, a little bit of healing can begin. This practice of courageous conversation is the first step. The second is to take that energy and channel it into service. The feeling of helplessness that so many of us experience in the face of large-scale problems is a poison to the spirit. The antidote to that poison is action, purposeful, local, and tangible action. I invite you to find one small, simple way to be of service in your own community. You don't have to solve world hunger. Just start with your own neighborhood. Volunteer for an hour a week at a local food bank. Offer to help an elderly neighbor with their yard work. Join a group that cleans up a local park. Coach a children's sports team. When we are working side by side with our neighbors toward a common, positive goal, something magical happens. The labels we put on each other, the political labels, the social labels, they start to fade away. We're no longer defined by our disagreements. We are simply neighbors, working together to make our small corner of the world a little better. This is how we begin to reweave the fabric of our society, not from the top down, but from the bottom up. We heal the world by healing our own small piece of it. As the brilliant researcher and author Brené Brown has taught us, vulnerability isn't weakness, it's our most accurate measure of courage. And it takes incredible vulnerability to listen to those we disagree with and to show up in service to our communities. But in that vulnerability, we find our greatest strength and our deepest connection. This is the practice of courage. The practice of compassion. We have practiced bringing clarity into our minds and courage into our communities. And now, we arrive at the final practice, the one that encompasses all the others. This is the practice of compassion, and we will explore it by expanding our open spirit beyond just the people we meet today, to embrace our profound responsibility to the earth itself and to all the generations yet to come. At its very core, the Hopi prophecy is a story about balance. It's a story about humanity's sacred relationship with our Earth Mother and what happens when that relationship is broken. The practice of compassion calls us to heal that relationship. It invites us to see this planet not as a warehouse of resources to be exploited, but as a single, living, breathing body of which we are all a part. When we see the world this way, our everyday choices become sacred. Every decision we make, what we buy, what we waste, what we conserve, what we create, becomes an act of either disrespect or of love for our only home. Practicing this kind of earthly compassion doesn't require grand political gestures. It is woven into the simple fabric of our lives. It can be as simple as planting native flowers in your yard or on your balcony to provide food for the bees and butterflies. It can be the conscious effort to reduce your food waste, honoring the energy and life that went into what sustains you. It can be choosing to support local farmers who are caring for the soil in a sustainable way. These are not political acts, they are acts of love. They are small, tangible ways we say thank you to the earth that gives us everything. This practice of caring for our world in the present moment naturally leads us to think about the future. And this brings us to the most powerful and transformative question we can ask ourselves. Dr. Jonas Salk, the visionary scientist who developed the polio vaccine, spent the later years of his life pondering the evolution of humanity. He once posed a simple, devastatingly profound question: are we being good ancestors? Let that question settle into your spirit for a moment. Are we being good ancestors? This question changes everything. It lifts us out of the frantic urgency of our own short lives and places us in the great, unfolding story of humanity. It invites us to live today in such a way that the generations of the future, our grandchildren and their grandchildren, And all the children who will follow will look back on our time and feel a sense of gratitude. What stories will they tell about us? Will they tell of a generation that was warned but did nothing? A generation that consumed everything it could, that took the last of the bounty and left behind a depleted world and a mountain of problems? Or will they tell a different story? Will they tell of a generation that, in a time of great challenge and confusion, woke up? Will they tell of a generation that remembered its sacred connection to the earth? Will they tell of a generation that had the courage and the compassion to make difficult choices, to heal its divisions, and to begin the great work of restoration? Will they speak of us as the generation that planted trees, knowing full well we would never sit in their shade? To be a good ancestor is the ultimate expression of compassion. It is love projected through time. It is the understanding that our lives are not just our own, but that we are a bridge between the past and the future. It is our sacred duty to leave that bridge stronger and more beautiful than we found it. Every act of clarity, every act of courage, every act of compassion we have discussed is, at its heart, an answer to this question. When you choose to quiet your mind, you become a more peaceful ancestor. When you choose to listen with courage, you become a more connected ancestor. And when you choose to care for your small piece of the earth, you become a more loving ancestor. This is the practice of compassion. And so, our journey of reflection comes to its conclusion. The comet in the sky was the call to attention. The three pillars we explored, clarity, courage, and compassion, are the tools for our time. And the simple, daily practices we've just discussed, that is the work. We have traveled a long way together. We began by looking up at the heavens, contemplating signs and wonders. We then turned our gaze inward to the vast universe within our own hearts. And finally, we have learned how to reach out, to carry the peace we found inside into the world around us. Perhaps then, the true meaning of the prophecy is this: the great purification is not some external event we must brace for. It is the personal, voluntary shedding of our own limitations, our own fears, and our own divisions. And the fifth world, that new era of balance, is not a place we are waiting to arrive at. It is a world we are actively creating, together, with every choice we make, to live with a clear mind, a strong heart, and an open spirit. The prophecy, then, is not a script that has already been written for us. It is an invitation, an open-ended question asked of our generation. And our answer, the one that truly matters, is the one written by the story of our lives. This journey has been so much more meaningful for having people to share it with. If you are still listening to my voice, if you have stayed with me to this point, would you do me a small favor? Please, type the number 1 in the comments below. It will let me know that I've had fellow travelers with me on this entire path. Your presence, even in this quiet, simple way, is the greatest encouragement I could ever ask for, and it's a testament that we are not alone on this search for meaning. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with someone in your life who you feel might need to hear it. Thank you, truly, for your time and your attention. Be well, and take care of that peace in your heart.